My name is Thekla. I'm the co-founder and co-chair of Canada Alpha, which stands for the Association for Learning and Preserving the History of World War II in Asia, and I'm also the president of BC Alpha. Alpha's mandate is to advocate for and foster global human rights and peace through the learning and preserving of historical facts about the atrocities committed by the Japanese Imperial Army against civilians and unarmed soldiers during World War II in Asia, which occurred between 1931 and 1945. We also support the just and overdue redress for victims of the Asian Holocaust. I would first like to thank Tatsuo for including me into the launch of his new book, Migration, Displacement, and Redress, a Japanese-Canadian Perspective. I would like to highlight his writings about the project A Glimpse of Reconciliation, which was co-organized by Canada Alpha and the Human Rights Committee of Japanese Canadian Citizens Association JCCA in 1998. It was a touring witnessing forum and photo exhibit relating to the lawsuit filed by victims of Unit 731 biological warfare. The event was held in 6 North American cities. In March 1999, this project, A Glimpse of Reconciliation, was recognized by the government of British Columbia with an End Racism Award. You can learn more about this project by reading some of the selected writings included in Tatsuo's new book. Here, I would like to read out some passages from 2 selected articles to demonstrate the kind of both subtle and explicit pressures Tatsuo endured when trying to uphold the principle of human rights for all. In the article, A Glimpse of Reconciliation receives End Racism Award from BC government, Tatsuo wrote, quote, "Looking back, we think that community members firmly believe in our mandate and saw it as universal in nature when they initiated efforts to achieve redress for Japanese Canadians. And indeed, our efforts were supported by many Canadians of various backgrounds, including First Nations, Chinese, and other Asian Canadians. It was unfortunate that our national organization, the NAJC, declined our request for endorsing the project of Unit 731 Forum and exhibit. For some Japanese Canadians, it seems to be more important not to offend the Japanese government and big business than to affirm their Canadian citizenship by standing with victims of past injustice and supporting the demand for apology and compensation. On Enjiri, the Japanese traditional virtue of obligation, often mentioned by Nesse elders, seem to be conveniently forgotten when other people's rights become an issue." Unquote. In the article, Rights for All Humans, Tatsuo wrote about the queries from Mr. Jinro Hamanaka, whose view probably represented a good fraction of the Japanese community. He criticized JCCA Human Rights Committee's joint effort with Chinese and other ethnic groups on the issue of Unit 731 and the Nanking Massacre. In his view, the constitution of JCCA does not include JCCA jumping into support human rights movement of non-Japanese Canadians. He asked if permission to receive the End Racism Award was obtained from the JCCA board. Mr. Hamanaka even queried whether JCCA would lose members because JCCA's criticism towards the Japanese government. Tatsuo responded to each of the above queries, and I would like to read out Tatsuo's response, particularly to the last query. Quote, "It is true that the membership of the JCCA has been declining. In addition to the aging of its members, it has chronically lacked active programming for its members. We committee members would simply say that we have been involved with activities which as citizens of Canada are appropriate to deal with. Also, our activities are attracting new members who are interested in our work. Indeed, some community members join our committees because of our activities, and some others gave us donations in appreciation of our work. The members of the delegation of the Witnessing Forum in July 1998 were representatives of those Japanese people who are conscientious and critical of the Japanese government's policies. Our committee has been supporting these people, but it doesn't mean that we are anti-Japanese or are critical of the people and culture in general of our ancestral land. We firmly believe that unless Japan can liquidate its past debt, that is, unless dealing sincerely with the war responsibility and compensation issues, Japanese people can never attain true friendship with the people of Asian and Pacific regions. Without that, we can hardly expect to have reconciliation and harmony with other Asian groups in Canada. Our activities are, in a sense, contributing to an important grassroots level exchange and understanding between Canada and Japan." Unquote. In fact, the pressure didn't only come from individuals within his community. Tatsuo was a member of the writing team of the Teacher's Guide, Human Rights in the Asia Pacific, 1931 to 1945, Social Responsibility and Global Citizenship, which supports senior high school students in learning about the Asian Holocaust. This resource guide was developed by the BC Ministry of Education with BC Alpha as an invited partner. During its development, Tatsuo was under pressure from the then Consul General of the Japanese Consulate in Vancouver. Yet, he continued that work with extraordinary and unshakable resilience. My recent experience of being criticized as anti-China by my own community due to my support for the Hong Kongers' struggle for freedom and democracy has made me understand much better the impact of such pressure from one's own community. Fortunately, I can look to Tatsuo as my role model when facing such challenges. Thank you, Tatsuo.